Why do you do photography? Why are you a photographer? Let's just cut to the chase and get past those surface responses of, oh, I enjoy it, it's a hobby of mine, it kind of comes easy to me. And let's get to the real reasons why we do photography. Now, it's more than just something we like to do, but for some of us, it's something that we simply must do. So today I'm going to talk about 3 real reasons that we do photography, and I'm going to share one neat aspect that could change the way you think about your photography forever. So stick around, this one's going to be really interesting. Okay, my contention is that there are only 3 reasons that you are a photographer. And regardless of where you are in your craft or experience level, you're going to fall into one of these 3 categories. Either monetary gain, recognition, or you're just compelled to shoot. So we're going to talk about all 3 of these and where we might fit in and whether they're good or bad, but then at the end I'm going to share something that I've just learned that's true about our type of people, and it's so powerful that I have to warn you that we have to be careful about how we use this. More on that in just a little bit. Now, first off, there's absolutely nothing wrong with using your photography for monetary gain. I have literally supported my family since 2004 in some way or another with a camera in my hand, whether that be shooting stills or shooting video. Now, I know that you've probably heard that expression, do what you love and you'll never work a day in your life. There's a lot of truth to that. So if you have a God-given gift for doing photography and you can monetize that and commercialize that, hey, I say go for it. If you can sell your prints, if you can have a gallery and actually be rewarded monetarily for your craft, then go for it. A lot of us fall into this bucket of monetary gain, sometimes even on accident. We may just be taking pictures for fun, and then the next thing we know, somebody says, hey, I would like a print of that. Can you print that for me? Now what? Now you're actually a paid photographer. But what if you're the type in the second category where you just love posting your images to see what people say about them on social media? You're just itching to put that next photo up there, and so you can start seeing what people say and getting the feedback and the responses. I find myself in that category too. Sure, I love posting a new photo on Facebook or Instagram and watching those comments come in, but above and beyond just the validation of people giving me likes and comments and even sharing my work, it's a great way to grow as a photographer. If you can get some other artists' opinions and break through the congratulatory comments, it's a great way to hone your skills and sharpen your craft. But even if you can't, posting your work on a social platform like Facebook is a great way to get a lot of feedback on your work, even if you don't get substance in the comments. Because, hey, you can throw a picture up there and get a few likes, get a few comments, maybe even some shares. But what if you post one of those photos that ends up getting shared dozens of times? It gets hundreds of likes and thousands of views. Then you know that there was something special about that shot. And you can take away from that, I need to do more of that, or really study it and see what is it about that shot that made people take notice. What was so special about that? It's a great way to learn just from looking at the feedback. So I say, if you're one of those people that love to shoot and share, then share away. But let's talk about the most important aspect of photography, and that is kind of why we do it in the first place. Have you ever been in one of those situations where you're at dinner with friends or family and suddenly you ask to be excused from the table because you spotted a sunset outside and you had just no choice but to get up and go out and take a picture of it? Or have you been driving along the highway and just suddenly slammed on your brakes and exited or went off on the shoulder because you just had to jump out with your camera and take a picture? Yeah, I know. We kind of get some strange looks from folks because we're sort of a little off. We kind of pay attention to things in a different way, and we break protocol pretty often, and I know I'm that type, and I get those crazy looks from people too. My own family think I'm crazy. You know, setting my alarm at 4 a.m. and driving an hour and a half to a location trying to beat the sunrise, or I've passed those people as we're huffing and puffing and trying to get up a mountain trail, and they look over as they're holding their water bottle and see me with an extra 40-pound backpack and a huge tripod that I'm trying to lug up to this thing to get a photo. And it's true that a lot of people see any true artist as a little bit off, right? I mean, who wants to spend months chiseling away at one piece of stone and your wrists and hands are just going through agonizing repetitive motions, or sitting in front of a canvas in a back-breaking position and dabbing daubs of paint onto this canvas until you get it looking right, or ripping through hours and hours of manuscript after manuscript until you get this one piece that you're working on in a writing, a literary work, to have every single word flowing like water, or put your life on the line as you climb to some dangerous ledge just to try to get a new composition in your camera. So why go through all this trouble? Is it because if you do get out there and take that picture that it will probably sell? Is it because if you just go through the effort to take this shot that it's going to blow up your social media and get more comments than any photo you've ever taken? Or are you just compelled to do it? You cannot not shoot it. You feel like you're going to die if you don't get out there and shoot it. Honestly, I have a little sprinkling of all of this. Sure, I love to post a photo and see what people say in the comments. And of course, if I sell a photo, I am humbled and thrilled that somebody would want to reward me monetarily by buying that print. Are you kidding? Of course I would. But there's so much more to it than that. My dad pointed out an amazing broadcast sermon by the late R.C. Sproul that brought something to my attention that I've never heard before or considered. I'll post a link to that sermon in the description too, so make sure you check that out. But in this broadcast, R.C. Sproul points out that the first reference, the first mention of anyone being filled with the Holy Spirit in the whole Bible was an artist. In Exodus 31, I've got the Bible right here. He points out to Moses, he's teaching Moses here. He says, I have called by name Bezaleel, the son of Uriah, the son of Hur, from the tribe of Judah. I have filled him with the Spirit of God in wisdom, in understanding, in knowledge, and in all kinds of craftsmanship, to make artistic designs for work in gold, in silver, and in bronze, and in the cutting of stones, for setting and the carving of wood, that he may work in all kinds of craftsmanship. An artist was the first person in the Bible to be filled with the Holy Spirit. Is this really the secret behind every form of artistic expression that has ever been created on planet Earth? Actually, I think it is. Think of how this earth was made. It was void and lifeless. It took a master creator and artist to give beauty and life and substance to it all. And when we make art, we're merely tapping into that same substance and giving direct glory back to the Creator. In fact, all beauty comes from God anyway. So when we use our cameras with light and shadow and contrast and composition, we are basically using the tools that God has given us as artists to give glory back to Him in His creation. Even people who are far from God or don't follow God or even claim to be atheists are still made in God's image, and they still have to operate within the constructs and the boundaries of the rules that God has set forth for beauty, for order, for substance. If we try to draw a tree that looks something of another planet, something that we've never really seen before, the proportions could be off. The substance just doesn't mesh right. Something just doesn't look right. And ultimately, it's not going to be beautiful if it doesn't follow the rules that God's laid out for beauty. If it doesn't follow His beauty, then we basically suffer to come up with anything that is beautiful. If we go outside of His constructs of order, we have a really hard time creating any order at all. We can ignore the rules of composition. We can put something extremely out of balance, but what's going to happen is it's going to come into conflict with our eye, and ultimately we're going to end up with something pretty ugly. Now, another phenomenon that I've seen is there are artists and photographers that I follow that are obviously not Christ followers. They may not even claim to be religious in any way, but they have taken some shots that I see God's glory through, and they can't even help themselves because they're still drawn to God's beauty whether they even realize it or not. and they still convey His beauty through their hands because we are made in God's image. How powerful is that? But what if we actually tap into this special relationship that God has set apart for artists to go in step with Him? And what if we let the Holy Spirit truly drive our inspiration to glorify God in everything that we do? I'm pretty sure that our photography would reach another level. And of course, if we are in the Spirit as we shoot, the photos that we take are probably going to be the ones that rise to the top, I would imagine, on social media, and they're probably going to be the ones that God allows us to be rewarded for monetarily. Because in the Bible, it never mentions that these artisans aren't paid for their craft. I think God is completely fine with us as artists, glorifying Him, getting some praise for what we do, and ultimately even getting monetary gain for what we do, as long as it glorifies Him and we're not doing it for selfish reasons, but we're truly doing it to glorify Him. So see, we really can fit into all three of these buckets. If we just follow God and we use our gifting that He's given us, there's no telling what possibilities are out there for us. But I want to share one thing that's a little bit concerning, and that is losing inspiration and losing that drive to do what it is that we're compelled to do. Now, I keep in touch with a few of my students from the past, and one of my favorite students, her name is Sarah, and I've kept in touch with her since I taught at Dallas Baptist University, and she's exceptionally talented. Well, one thing that really kind of disturbed me one day is I was talking to her about a recent trip that she had made out to Sedona, Arizona. Have you ever been there? I haven't been there, but I want to go. And I asked her, I said, wow, did you get some really cool shots while you were out there? And she said, no, I didn't even take my camera. I'm like, no, why? Why would you not take your camera? You know what she said? She said, well, I just figured that all the good shots have already been taken, and this is such a beautiful place. So many photographers come here. I just didn't feel like I could have anything to contribute that would be new. And then something hit me. So here's what I told her. I said, it's true. There could have been an award-winning photographer who stood in this exact same spot yesterday who has more experience than you and 3 times more expensive camera gear than you and got an amazing picture here yesterday. But that girl was here yesterday and you're here today. So let's think about the human face for a minute. Now, how many people are on planet Earth? 6 billion? I've lost count. I have no idea how many people are on planet Earth. But God has the infinite wisdom and creativity to give every single one of us a unique likeness and a unique face. Now, unless we're an identical twin, we have a unique face. So I would imagine that if God can give uniqueness within just a few inches of the human face and do this billions of times, that He can probably create uniqueness if He has horizon to work with in Sedona, Arizona, right? So if you're a photographer or any other type of artist, just relax and remember and take comfort in the fact that it was us who God first endowed with the Holy Spirit. So what are you going to do with that secret sauce? So guys, I hope this video has been inspiring for you. I know thinking about this really inspires me for the work that God has given us to do. And I think most of us are artists with multiple things, like with cameras, with writing, with words, with the way we relate to people. We're just a different breed. Many of you may notice, if you've watched some other episodes, this table here. This table has been sort of going through various transition phases. You've seen it here completely raw. It was actually up on sawhorses for a while. Finally, I got out and I had Margot help me sand this thing down. I put a little stain on it, and it doesn't match the other table in here, but I don't care. I wanted to put some walnut stain on this. This is actually a 2-inch thick piece of oak that I cut from a tree here on my property, and I just think that just creativity in general, it's just unbelievable what we can do with our hands if we just tap into the resources and things that God's given us in beauty. And I'm giving God glory through the beauty of the grain of this tree and the story that it tells, and I just love this table. So you may see, maybe I'll put some polyurethane on this over the next couple weeks. But hey, I want to know what drives you to do photography. Why do you do photography? What inspires you the most? I would love to have an open conversation and dialogue here. And if you have any questions, ask me. I'm available. And if this video has been valuable to you, if you've gotten some value from this, please consider subscribing to my channel. It would mean a lot to me. And click that little bell so that you'll know every single time that I go live with another episode. Now, you know that your assignment, you're compelled to get out there and shoot. So this week, I hope that we can all get out and explore God's creation with childlike wonder and remember who was first filled with the Holy Spirit. Guys, good luck out there. I'll see you again on the next episode. And if you just haven't gotten enough of me this week, here come links to 2 more awesome videos. Thanks, guys.